Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our NFL Week 12 preview between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Bucs.
The offensive line for Tampa is playing great in the running game in the backs, whether it was Mike James and now Bobby Rainey and also Brian Leonard. The ground game is making life a lot more easier for Mike Glennon in the pocket. And what's just as impressive is that he's protecting the football. But the Bucs have to start excelling in the red zone on a consistent basis, especially if they want to beat the Detroit Lions. Defensively, instantly you want to focus in the secondary and how the Bucs can play effective coverage versus Detroit. And I'm a big fan of press man, especially with the Bucs personnel. And press man throws off the timing of the play, and it forces Matt Stafford to be consistently accurate throughout the course of the game. Now, losing Deshaun Golston in the secondary for a game does hurt, but that's why you have depth, and it's up to guys like Kelsey McRae to step in and play well. Now let's move over to Detroit in this ball game, and that was a tough loss last week versus the Steelers, but they can't allow one loss to become two. Now what the Lions must do offensively is to tie up loose ends. They can't have those drop passes and fumbles that plagued them last week versus the Steelers. Matt Stafford also has to be more patient when throwing the football, because I'm pretty sure the Lions will see a lot of cover two, a lot of two-man, a lot of cover four, so be patient and things will begin to open up later. But either way, Stafford can't continue to force the football to Calvin Johnson. He has to trust his protection and those other options on the team to make plays for this offense. Defensively, the fifth-ranked run defense gets a tough test as the Buccaneers' ground game has caught fire. The main thing the Lions must do is simply win the one-on-one battles on the interior. The Bucs run a lot of power, lead, and ISO, so the action is coming right at you downhill, and it's up to you as a defender to win that fight. And ultimately, what you want is Mike Glennon to throw the football 30-plus times this game. In order for that to happen, you have to be able to shut down the run and make them pass more often than they want to. Now, here are some in-game adjustments you want to watch out for in this ball game if you're Tampa Bay. I believe they may have to go to that big nickel look with one less linebacker and one extra safety if they find themselves struggling very early in this ball game versus the passing game, especially when Detroit goes to that spread formation. And on offense, do they wham on the inside, or do they crack on the outside, or do they do both? I believe they have to do both to get creative versus two outstanding defensive tackles in Ndamukong Suh and Nick Fairley. You have to find ways to create opportunities for yourself in the running game. And back on defense, who covers Reggie Bush if he's flexed or flanked outside of the tackle box? If they line him up in a slot or out wide, who goes with him? Not a linebacker, because that's an instant mismatch. So do you put a corner or a safety out there? But that's the question that has to get answered very early in this ball game.
We know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are an aggressive style defense, and the one way the Detroit Lions can have some success this week, they have to attack the linebackers in the passing game. I'll show you how they can do so by high-lowing the weak side backer and also putting this middle linebacker in the bind out of the bunch formation. So I'm just going to show you a simple route concept that with the pivot route, and we're going to show you how they can influence these two guys in making a bad decision. Now on the backside, what we're going to have the receiver run a spot route. He's going to settle down in between both linebackers. So he's running the spot route. Boom, settle down right here. Now, if he sees his guys jumping in this versus zone, you settle down versus man. You kind of want to keep going, move over a little bit, get in the passing lane of Matthew Stafford. So this could be Calvin Johnson trying to get him the football. Now, on the front side, we're going to have the tight end step out and come back in and sit right in front of the center, putting this guy in a high-low situation. He has a choice to make. This is also your built-in hot read for Matt Stafford. What we're also going to do, out of the bunch, we're going to run the corner route, pulling away the corner and also creating room for the smash or the pivot route. We're going to put him in motion. We're going to stack them. So snap the ball when he's right behind the guy at the bunch, the Z. Run him in, push that linebacker, then pivot back out. This is also an excellent route versus blitz versus man, because you have the natural rubs. You also have the ability to get this guy the football quickly. So now you've put this linebacker in a situation he's going to drop underneath to try to get in his zone, or if he's going to be influenced by this pivot route, try to follow, thus creating an opportunity for this play. And you see we've high-low this guy, so if he jumps here, you go here. And you've given Matt Stafford options to go to the corner with one-on-one coverage. Hopefully the safety will be entertained by the spot route. So that's one way they can have some success this week versus Tampa Bay. It's about influencing the linebackers and attacking these guys in the passing game.
The X factor for the Buccaneers will be that offensive line. Can they continue to have success firing off the football in a running game versus two talented defensive tackles, that's going to be the biggest battle they're going to have to win in order to have success. The X factor for the Lions will be their tight ends. I believe both guys, Brandon Pettigrew and also Joseph Fourier, can have some success versus this Bucs defense that will be without Deshaun Golson. One, they can expand that coverage by going double tight and also give them better angles in the running game. So that's why I believe the Lions will have to find ways to get the tight ends involved very early versus Tampa Bay. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ballgame. For Tampa Bay, they have to continue to spread the wealth on offense. They've done a great job of getting everyone involved in the passing game and also utilizing their depth in the backfield. Continue to spread the wealth. That makes you very tough to defend offensively. And I would also move the pocket for Mike Glennon going against an outstanding pass rush of the Detroit Lions. So that's your waggles, your boots, your dashes. Get him off the spot, and that way they can have some success. And I believe blitzing from the slot could be successful this week versus the Detroit Lions. You look at Matt Stafford back there in the pocket, not the most accurate passer when pressure is in his face. And I think coming off the edge, strong side with your nickelback or even your safety could disrupt the timing, could force an inaccurate pass, which could then result into an incompletion or better yet, a turnover. And for the Lions in this ballgame, the battery needs to be charged and ready to go. Your defensive battery are your two defensive tackles and your middle linebacker. So Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley, and Stephen Tulloch will have to play huge roles this week versus the running game of Tampa Bay. And in the passing game, you want to ride and pass the crossers. I wouldn't follow the crossing route across the field. Ride them to a certain point, pass him off, and catch the other crosser that's coming your way as well. So that way you can play effective coverage versus the passing game of the Bucs on third down. And you can't beat yourself. We talked about the penalties, the turnovers, the drop passes. Don't beat yourself, and you can then find a way to beat the Bucs. I like the Lions in this ballgame. Right now, they are struggling to defend the pass, but I believe the way they can stop Tampa Bay's passing game is by stopping their running game, because Mike Glennon loves to operate off play action. They are not a straight drop back and throw the football type of a team. They want to operate off play action. So if you stop the run, you essentially stop the Bucs throwing the football. So I think that's how they can defend the pass this week versus Tampa Bay, and what will be one of the better games of the weekend. I like Detroit to win this one at home. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Lion fan forums and Buccaneer fan forums for always showing football game plan support.